Thanks to one of my more techie friends, I was able to figure out how to download my Instagram live conversation with Elisabeth Desamour of Desamour Designs and Brooke Adams of Fully Spun, who are the designer and dyer, respectively, for the upcoming Pride 23 Crochetalong. So I decided to upload it here as a bit of bonus content. I hope you enjoy our conversation, and I hope that you're able to join in the crochet along. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks.
Good there we go. Good morning. Welcome everyone to this kickoff for the Jake for the Pride End AIDS Knitalong. I know it's only early April, but we want to get the ball rolling on going to be a huge finale for this season of the End AIDS Knitalongs and Crochetalongs. I guess since we have a lot of folks who probably are not my followers, maybe I'll just give a quick background on what this is. My name is Gary. I am for the 5th year doing the AIDS Life Cycle, which is a 7-day, 545-mile bike ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles that raises money for the life-saving work of the San Francisco AIDS Foundation and the Los Angeles LGBT Center. So this ride has been going on in one form or another since 1994. And has already raised $300 million for these two, for the services that these two organizations provide. So like I said, this is my 5th year. A couple years ago, I should back up. When I first started doing the ride, after not riding for 20 years, I decided I wanted to raise $200,000 for the ride, and I had a goal to do that in 11 years. Hopefully I will get it done sooner because my knees are starting to hurt. And so a couple years ago, as part of my fundraising, I tried to figure out a way that I could combine my love of raising money for these organizations and knitting and crocheting. And so I started these series of Knitalongs and Crochetalongs, which helped me in my fundraising. So this is the 2nd year we're doing them. It's been a ton of fun for me. The goal of these Knitalongs and Crochetalongs are, first, to have fun, second, to showcase and make sure we get the designers and these dyers paid, and then if we can raise a little money on top of all that, then that is fantastic. So I am so happy to be joined today by Elisabeth Desamour of Desamour Designs and Brooke Adams of Fully Spun Yarn, who have generously raised their hands to be the designers and the dyers for this grand finale of season 2 of the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs. And we're going to talk about the pattern, and we're going to talk about the yarn, and we're going to talk about how the whole thing is going to work. But I always like when I talk to dyers and designers, or anyone actually in the community, just to get your sort of fiber origin story and kind of how you got here in your crafting journey. So maybe Elisabeth, I read somewhere, maybe it was on your website, that you've been crocheting since you were a little girl. How did you get started with crochet and maybe any other crafts you do, and then how did you get into designing?
Well, yes, I've been crocheting since I was about 8 years old. I've always been into crafts, and I was lucky enough to grow up and like around my mother and my grandmother, who are people who were always encouraging and always also themselves into crafting themselves. My mother and had a lot of hobbies. Like my mother taught me to sew. My grandmother used to sew. I did cross stitching, a lot of things. I was into drawing and painting at some point. My parents could have gone broke if it was all from all my hobbies, because they were very supportive.
Listen, I can that from my yarn closet right now, but yes.
But I grew up in Haiti. I went to a private Catholic school. So
Oh, wow.
there we had to learn a hobby, a craft as part of our curriculum. So I chose crochet because I thought that, okay, something I haven't tried before, maybe I can get it into it and do that. I sucked at it when I first tried. Um, the end of the year project that we had were supposed to present, I had one of my friends make it for me so I can present it to my family, like, look what I made. Like, this is my project. Yes, you never seen me work on it, but it's mine. But that was it. I actually, when I moved to the US, I picked it back up because I was even in Haiti, I was working on crocheting here and there, but it was not something I did as my main hobby because I was more focused into cross stitching and other painting and stuff like that. When I moved to the US, I was looking for something to do. So I went out and bought some yarn, got into that. Then I got out of it until I joined the Navy. And my first deployment, I was looking for something to do. Like, you're stuck on a ship for 9 months. Like, so it's just like, okay, you're gonna have a lot of long days, and then you're gonna have a lot of long nights where you don't have anything else to do besides watch movies, eat, go work out, and run around, which is like kind of hard to do anyway because your ship is always moving all over the place. And so I just started buying yarn, filling my rack with more yarn than I could bring uniform. I left like 3/4 of my uniforms home so I can bring my yarn with me. But yeah, so that's when I started. Actually, I started at as what was it? Chic Crochet for You. Some Yeah, that was the name back then. I was making little stuffed animals to sell to people. I was like gifting them to people on the ship and stuff like that. In 2008, that's when I transitioned. Not 2008, Jesus. In 2018, that's when I transitioned into designing and I started making my own stuff. And I realized that I liked making clothes more than I liked the stuffed animals, the smaller projects, because I wanted something that I could keep for me at the end of it. And there's not much I can do with the stuffed projects, like the stuffed animal, the amigurumis. So I started making clothes, I started wearing them, and then I started selling the patterns, and people were actually buying it. I'm like, y'all crazy, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, and you had no like formal training in like designing, designing
No,
things in
I did
crochet or.
a lot of testing. That was my first thing. I started doing a lot of crochet testing. I followed a lot of designers, tested a lot of patterns so I can understand the different ways people wrote their patterns, the different things that I had to learn about crochet before I jumped straight into designing my own projects. I spent a lot of time doing testing for other designers to get that knowledge under my belt.
That's that, that's great. That's a great because people have always asked like, "Oh, are you gonna start designing anything?" I was like, "Listen, I don't know a thing about it. I'm always just amazed when I sit down and there's a pattern and like that someone else came up with these ideas." But that's a great way to learn kind of the kind of early
Mhm.
stages of the thing. Brooke, now how about you? I know, I mean, obviously yarn dyeing, but is the crafting side of thing also something that you're doing? And how
Yeah,
did you get to it?
so my story is really similar. I grew up watching my mom crochet, and so she taught me how to crochet. I learned how to knit, kind of on my own between like watching TV and books at the library. I also sewed as a kid. Like I still have my mom one year got me a little book like how to hand sew, and it came with stuff to make a little strawberry pin cushion, and I still have my little ugly pin cushion and have lots of
Oh,
half finished projects that like Elisabeth, my parents paid for. I put it down for a little bit, but then picked it back up in college. And I actually studied interior design in college. And so took a lot of fine arts classes. And that's where during that time, my free time was I was, you know, knitting, crocheting, learned how to spin, learned how to dye because I didn't have money to afford all the pretty yarn. And in hindsight, it really was like me exploring and playing with the things I was learning in class. But to me at the time, I thought I was having free time. So that's kind of though when I got really deep into it, into the community and things. And in 2016, I started my business. So it's now like coming on, it's like 6.5 years old now. Been dyeing yarn. Started out primarily doing marled yarn that got shaken up during the pandemic. And so I came out with my line of other colorways that are, you know, dyed in the regular way. And so yeah, that's where we're at. I'm really excited. Thank you for inviting me to participate, and always happy to, you know, participate in a cause that helps people.
Oh, I'm just thrilled that you were able to do it. Did now does is the dyeing sort of like taken over? So do you still crochet on the side, or is the dyeing taking up all of your free time?
I'm definitely at the stage where, you know, crafting has become work. So I don't, and you know, haven't had as much time for it as I've wanted. Late in the last like couple of years, to be honest. Like I just moved and I have all my yarn is like in my face, like all of the other people's yarn that I have is in my face, and I'm like, dang, like, wow. Like, you know, because you get so focused into, you know, creating that it's just like, wow, I have all these other things that I, you know, picked up because I love them and had, you know, all these things I want to create. So, but hopefully I've got time to, you know, do that on the other side.
It gets overwhelming. I mean, my strategy is just to separate it into a bunch of little stashes around, right, and then I don't see it all in one place, and so it doesn't get overwhelming to me. Because I mean, this year, as anyone who follows me know, this is the year of me trying to destash a bunch of stuff. But it's, yeah, it gets overwhelming, especially when you have it in your face all the time. You know, and I'm at this point right now and we'll talk about you know, what I've been working on, but like I'm sort of like knitting and crocheting on a bit of a deadline, and I don't know what it is about that, but all I want to do is start one of the other 100 things that I, because I'm like, you know, I got to get this the pattern that we're working on for the Crochetalong to have a little sample done. I have a gift I need to be working on, and all I want to do is cast on something else for myself.
Just, our inner toddlers are like, no.
Nothing to distract me from what I need to be doing is like something so Elisabeth, so we can kick off talking about this project. You said you liked to design garments. But now, do you also do accessories, or are you mainly focused on
I have a few accessories.
Garments?
I have a couple of shawls, a couple of Jesus, I don't even remember my patterns. Look at me. I have a couple of shawls, a couple of beanies, and some, what's the thing? The headbands. I have a couple of those, but it's mostly garments. I usually do a lot of tops and stuff like cardigans, etc. I'm actually doing a blanket this year, which is one of the things I hate, but we're not going to talk about this. It's for the love of my brother. I'm making him a temperature blanket, so that's, yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's
the temperature he is, or the temperature where you are? It's going to be all red.
So the blanket, the temperature blanket, so this is my thing. I do not like to follow rules. Yes, I'm in the military and like I write patterns and I do all these things, but I don't like to follow rules. For me, my blanket, I wanted to do a temperature blanket ever since I saw it for the first time. But I don't like having like all those different colors, like, you know, because you don't know where they're gonna land, you don't know how they're gonna work together, even if you have a nice palette. So I decided to use stitches instead of colors. to do the temperature changes, and I'm also going. He's 30. He's 30. How old am I? He's 36. So I'm doing it to cover the first 36 years of his life. So I took the temperature from the location he celebrated his birthday every year, and I'm doing the blanket using that for
Oh
him.
wow!
Oh wow. Wow, that's really
So
thoughtful.
cool. Well, first of all, that's a ton of research
Yes,
to find,
it is.
especially if you moved around. But
And this is why my siblings think I love my brother more, but it's not true.
this is how you're gonna get yourself in trouble, because now they're all
Exactly.
gonna want a blanket.
Exactly. And it's like, I think this is the second blanket I'm making for him, and I always tell everybody else no. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about this this project. So I'm very excited because we've never done a garment for one of the Knitalongs. So I am I would say adventurous beginner, maybe on the cusp of intermediate crocheting. It's definitely not my strong suit. Knitting I'm far more comfortable knitting. So I was both excited and nervous because I've never knit a garment in my life, or crocheted a garment in my life. So the pattern that we're doing is a cardigan. It's called the In the Forest of the Night cardigan, and I should have brought a picture of it, but I don't have it. Wearing it. Okay, there you go. And it is an open front cardigan with sort of a lace pattern all over, and then the sleeves you have three options on the sleeves, sort of a kind of a sleeveless, and then I would say kind of like a cap sleeve or short sleeve, and then a full sleeve. So
she might be getting the link.
I'm moving around so I can show the cardigan.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it is DK weight. It is done with it is written with a size G hook. I had to go down a hook size in mine to get to gauge, and then it comes in sizes from small to 2X, which is a 32-34 bust up to 48-50, and because you have three different sleeves options, there's a bunch of different yardages that you will need, but it ranges from 760 yards up to just under 1599, so we'll say 1600 yards, which, using Brooke's yarn that we're going to talk about in just a second, is anywhere between 4 and 7 skeins. Okay, there we go. All right, I love it. So you have the long sleeve version on, and that looks great. And then it has this really pretty, I call them leaves. I guess they're kind of diamondy kind of leaf patterns. But where did, there you go. Beautiful. Where did the inspiration from this come, and kind of how did you get to this
I'm
design?
a big Doctor Who fan. I'm a nerd at heart. So there's an episode, the pattern is named after an episode of Doctor Who, In the Forest of the Night. Where they were going in a forest where a bunch of trees, the trees were actually growing overnight in the middle of city. They woke up the next day and there was a bunch of trees there. So this is like the leaves and stuff was the inspiration for that, like leaves growing all over the space and stuff like that. And this beautiful stitch just made it work for me.
Well, and I've been working on this. I was hoping to have my sample in the yarn, Brooke yarn that we're going to show in just a second, done for this live. I'm actually glad I didn't get it done because I'm making it for my sister, and we had a whole conversation, and she thinks she wants it maybe a little bit longer. So I'm going to actually see her in a couple of weeks for Maryland Sheep and Wool, and so I'm going to be able to take what I've got done and sort of see where it falls on her. And then if we want to make another longer, I'll do another repeat of the pattern before I set up the sleeve,
upper
I guess,
body.
the over the shoulder part. So yeah, so I just for folks who are not to get much away on the pattern, but for I would say this is a great pattern for an
Mhm.
adventurous beginner. It looks good, and I would say when I saw for the size I'm doing, chain 200 and something to start off, I was like, oh no, this is already off to a terrifying start for me, because the counting in crochet is what always drives me crazy. There it is. It's such a pretty stitch pattern. But I will say once you get through that first repeat, it becomes really obvious what you
Mhm.
need to be doing, and it's also and so you don't. I mean, it's a 6-7 row repeat. You don't memorize every single row, but you can memorize each row as you're doing it pretty easily, and it becomes really obvious kind of what you need to be doing. I will also say for those who may be a little nervous crocheter like me, that it is very forgiving
It is.
on mistakes.
Mhm.
So I chock full of them, but it is very easy to take a double crochet 3 together and turn that into a double crochet 4 together, or 5 together, or add a stitch here or there, and hopefully it isn't going to show up too much. But it is a really fun pattern. It works up really quickly in my like I said, once you get through that first repeat where you're paying really close attention to the instructions. I went from repeat number 1 to repeat number 7, in a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I mean, it's the only thing I've really been working on, but I'm not working on it every single day because I'm also in the midst of really ramping up my cycling. And so I'm, doing 150 miles of cycling this week. And so that's, 8 hours or so on the bike. And when I come home, I barely can tell you my name and my social security number and not sit down and work on a pattern. So um, let's so we've seen and that's very close to one of the colors that it
Mhm.
seems very close to one of the colors, um, darker than one of the colors
Mhm.
that you guys have put together for the pattern. So Brooke, tell us about the two colorways. Maybe
Yes.
start with the solid, which is similar to the one that Elisabeth's wearing. Kind
Mhm.
of your inspiration for the colors, and then I'll show the
Yep.
variegated one, which I've been working
Mhm.
on because I think you've been
She
Yep.
you've been have you been
has.
crocheting it up?
Yep.
Okay,
So I made
there you
it
go.
through my first repeat earlier this week. And like Gary said, it definitely clicks once you get past there. And I really love that it's just like 3 things that you have to remember on any given row. And so it's really,
Yep.
And if you've ever done any sort of lace, it'll be, easy. And if you haven't done lace, it's not one where you're gonna like drive yourself crazy. And like Gary said, I've made a mistake and had to like fudge a number, and I'm sure it'll look great. Nobody will know. But this colorway is Plant Parent, and the yarn base that we're using for both of these is a 50% wool, 50% cotton yarn base. So that takes it and makes a really nice, like slightly desaturated color. And so the inspiration for Plant Parent was the terracotta pot color. I just like have been obsessed. I'm still obsessed with this color. And we did choose it because it's similar to the one that Elisabeth did her sample in. And then I'm actually wearing a 100% wool version of the other colorway, Majestic. And Majestic is um, kind of inspired by, like, I don't know if you remember like the Lisa Frank like images,
Oh,
puzzles, things
Mm,
from the 90s, like, but that's really just like full like crazy color type of thing. And it is a version of a marl colorway that I had. And so this is Majestic in 100% wool, and Gary has it
yeah,
in the mm-hmm,
yeah. So this is it in
mm-hmm,
mhm.
the merino cotton, and this is it caked up. It is. I mean, it's very cool because the last year for the Pride Knitalong Crochetalong, we went like very sort of, you know, obvious sort of rainbow, you know, theme things. What not by I didn't say anyone had to do it, it's just kind of what people came up with. But I love this because it kind of gets you there, but it's not so like on the nose. It's not so literal like a rainbow. And it's interesting to see it in the wool that you're wearing
Yeah.
versus the cotton, because you definitely get more saturated. To me, this is, I keep saying, it reminds me, and you guys maybe I guess they still make them. When we were kids and we used to dye Easter eggs, we used these like kits that had like put vinegar and these little pills in them, and gave you these sort of like this. So here, this is it caked up. Here is in the pattern.
Oh, that's a lot more progress you made than. Oh my God!
Oh wow! Oh, you've been.
No, I'm ready to. So for folks who, again, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, the other great thing I think about this versus what I think about when you're doing a garment,
it's working one piece.
So much of this just a one piece thing, and you're just working in a big rectangle, and so you're not having to like worry about all the shaping as you go, as you're kind of learning the pattern. So because that all is going to happen later, I hope, because I've kind of, but yeah, I love how it's worked up. And there you probably can. I think that was one of the problem area, maybe not. But what I've loved about the yarn, and I'm really gonna try to either save it, scan, or I'll just get another one. Is it has so many colors in it, but the color changes, and I don't know how you get this done, but the color changes are so short that it's almost like each consecutive stitch is like a different color, and it has so many colors, but it doesn't get all like muddled. It's like each one's like very sort of distinct, and I just think, and my sister, I showed her, she's in love with it, and so I'm really excited for her to get it, and so yeah, I'm holding it upside down, but I made it. I made a lot of progress really quickly, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna take it up to her in the next couple of weeks, and we're gonna see how it falls on her at this point, and if she wants it even longer, I'll just do another repeat, and then do the over the body shaping part of it, and then she. It's funny because I assumed she would want short sleeves or long sleeves, and she's like, "Oh no, I want it sleeveless." I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that we talked." Because I haven't calculated one of the other ways, but yeah, she wants. She said, for the spring, she just wants to like put it over like a long sleeve t-shirt or whatever. And this looks, it's little. I wore gray today to try to make it, but when I've laid this down over like a darker color, it just really, like kind of what Elisabeth's wearing today, it just really pops. The pattern really pops out when it's worn over another color. So that is Plant Parent. This is Majestic, and it's, as I said up front, it's DK. So on your 50/50 merino, and it's superwash merino, it's 230 yards per 100 grams. And let's see if there's anything else specific on the yarn. No, it's a joy to work with. I haven't done a lot with cotton wool blend, but it to me, the cotton, I think, gives it a little structure. So it's not as I guess drapey as you might get from a pure wool or wool silk or something like that. Although honestly, I would love to see how this pattern worked up in something that was like super kind of drapey and flowy. I think about like a cotton tencel or something like that. I think would be really cool to see if folks have done it up. But I'm really excited that we're doing it in a variegated, because I think if you go on the pattern page, the project page on Ravelry at least, almost all the projects are done in a solid, and I think it looks great in a solid. It's really fun for folks to work it up in a variegated to see how that works. So in terms of the crochet along and how it's going to Sho was asking, would it work with a silk
I would
blend?
think so. My only
so.
thing with the sleeve, I would think so. It depends on what the silk is blend, like what the other fiber content is for that.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, like I said, since I would like to make a
Okay.
cropped one. Ooh, okay, that's cute. I mean, but it's interesting. Sort of speaking of kind of variations. Yeah, I was flipping through the project page, and people have kind of done their own thing with it, which is really fun.
Mhm.
Like the sleeves, like I know on the solid sleeve you have, it's a solid, looks like
Yes,
double
it's
crochets
double
all the way
crochets on
around.
the sleeves here.
Yeah,
Um,
but then I saw some people took like every so many rows and
mhm.
did kind of a lace row, kind of opened it up a little. Um, did various various links on the on the sleeves, and there was something else that someone had done. Oh, someone had done the patterning. All had
Yes,
figured
the
out
pattern
had
on,
done the
on the
pattern
sleeve. I've
all.
seen someone do the sleeves like with what's that stitch called? They're like the bubble stitch on the sleeves down. That was really
Oh,
nice.
uh-huh.
People, I like
Yeah,
to see how people just take the pattern and just make it their own stuff with it. So
and, and been one of the most fun because I'm also, at least the first time I do something, I always like to do it just as the designer has said, just because of I like to make sure I'm doing it right. But that's been one of the really fun things about doing these knit-alongs and crochet-alongs, because we'll have a designer and a dyer, and obviously I like to do it in the yarn that the dyers and designers have picked out. But then the participants, either stash diving or whatever, come up
mhm.
with all of these amazing variations on the patterns they're working on. It's just been really fun to see the creativity that folks have. And I should mention to anyone who's watching that we have a weekly Zoom. So every Tuesday evening at 4 o'clock my time, so 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Valerie of Creations by Valerie on Instagram hosts a Zoom call, and we all just kind of get together and show off our progress on what we're working on the KAL projects or anything else we're doing. And it's a really fun group. Someone has a question here. Can you repeat the name of the pattern and the name of the yarn dyer shop? Sure. So the pattern is called. Oh, I can get rid of it. The pattern is called "In the Forest of the Night" cardigan. It's on Ravelry. It's also on Elisabeth's website. There you go. Thank you, Elisabeth. And Elisabeth, what is your website?
Desamour Design is my website. I will put it here as well.
Okay. And then Fully Spun is the name of Brooke's line. So, which is a great segue in terms of how this is going to work. It's going to work a little bit different for anyone online, anyone watching who has participated before. We're trying a little bit of a different model for both the knit along and the crochet along this time, because we're working with existing patterns, and I think it just works out smoother this way. So the way that it's going to work, and there's an extra step for everyone, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, is you will buy a ticket to the knit along crochet along, which is the fundraising piece of it. So later this afternoon, excuse me, I will put up on my coffee page a item which is going to be the entry ticket for the knit along and the crochet along. It's going to be $3, which will 100% of that goes directly to my AIDS Life Cycle fundraising. Then you will buy the pattern directly from Ravelry or on Elisabeth's website. The pattern, I should mention, is $14. Again, I can go through all the size options that comes with. Obviously, I guess it's probably better if they can to buy it from your website, because then you don't have to give Ravelry their cut. But whatever is easiest for folks. But if we want more money to go into Elisabeth's pocket, so that's probably if you can do it that way, that's ideal. And then you will buy the yarn if you want to use the yarns that Brooke has dyed up directly from Brooke. I should say up front, because I know that is not always an option for everyone who wants to participate. Stash diving is always encouraged. You do not have to buy the yarn kits to be eligible for all the prizes and all the fun stuff we do, because we want to make this as open to everyone as possible. So the only thing really, you know, that if you already have the pattern, that's great. All you need is the $3 ticket to get in. And basically what that is getting you is, and coupon codes are available. I saw that on Ravelry as well for the pattern. And basically what in addition to the fundraising, what the ticket is getting you into is for the giveaways that we do throughout the Crochet-along. So we do a minimum of 5 rounds of giveaways during the Knitalong Crochet-along, which I also have failed to mention, runs from June 1st until July 30th. So we will kick it off for Pride Month, but I always like to give 2 full months because we're all busy, and trying to cram a project into a short period of time is not on my my. So I like to do it for 2 months. So we'll do 5 rounds of giveaways over the 2 months. There is a first week we do a sort of cast on giveaway. We do one at halftime, and then there's 3 rounds at the end. We reward participation more than we reward completion. So there's only 1 round of FO prizes. Everything else is all open to all whips, and it is all based on photos posted to Instagram or to our Ravelry group. So there's a Ravelry group, which is End AIDS KAL/CAL, where people show off their projects and just talk about what they're working on. And then there will be a hashtag, which will be End AIDS CAL Pride 23. And any picture that you post, as many pictures as you post, each one of those becomes an entry into the giveaway. So it's really easy to do. It's also fun for me because then I get to every week go through and like see everyone's progress. But that's basically how this is going to work. So you get a ticket, buy the pattern, and then buy the yarn. In terms of the yarn, it's going to be a pre-order. Yes. And
it's live now. It's live now. It's the first thing you'll see on my website as well if you just go to fullyspun.com. But we'll have direct links available later. And the way that I've done it is by the number of skeins, and I've noted what that yardage is. So as long as the yardage for the kind that you make falls below that, you'll be covered. And then also they will ship before May 20th, so you'll have them in hand for June 1st.
Yeah. Great. And that's going to be open until the 22nd. Okay. And we should note that so the other fundraising piece, if you are opting to buy one of the kits, for each kit, regardless of the number of skeins that are in it, for each kit, there's going to be added to your cart a $10 donation, which will then Brooke will then donate directly to AIDS Life Cycle, which is extremely generous to help get me over my fundraising goal for the year. It's the last 2 months. I'm at 2 months today. From 2 months almost exactly today, we will be riding out from San Francisco. And so I've got a lot of things these last 2 months to try to get me to my. I'm close, but I'm still not there to try to get me close. And this is going to be a huge boost. Obviously, the pattern is available now on Ravelry website, so folks can go ahead and pick get your yarn ordered sooner rather than later. I think it's always helpful for the dyers to know how much they're going to need to dye so they can plan out their dye calendar. So if you are hoping to use one of these great yarns, go ahead and get those orders in. I should also mention, while you are there on Brooke's website, she has some amazing yarns. I have been lucky enough to get some of her marled yarns, and I saw there is still some left on so go check it out if you have a project that needs one of these color changing, for your color work, or these are Andrea Mowry pattern, staples. Go check the yarn out. I don't think this is Orion.
That one's sold out.
But
that one's sold out. Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But this is the Inclusive Pride, which has all the colors from the Inclusive Pride rainbow flag in there. And then this one, which I think is also up there, is Kente, which has all the Kente cloth colors. I have 2 skeins of this POC Inclusive Pride that I'm going to make some really cool socks out of. I'm looking fun pride socks for that. I was hoping to get a pair done for one day on the ride to wear like these wild socks on the ride, but I don't think that's going to happen because, as I said, I have several things I'm working on a deadline. So, anything else that we're missing in terms of the details? And I'll run through everything one last time before we go. But I wanted to, since I had some of Brooke's yarn to show, I also wanted to ask Elisabeth about the other part of her life, which is a co-founder of Radical Threads magazine. Your baby.
Shova, Caroline's a nice baby.
Caroline in there, but why don't you just, for folks who may not know what Radical Threads is, what you guys are doing, and kind of what you have coming up for the magazine, just give us the elevator pitch on Radical Threads.
Radical Threads magazine is our child, the child from Serendipitous Wool, Scenic Design, and Desamour Design. We wanted to create a space where the patterns, the yarns, the design, all the creativity of BBIMP, people of color, are showcased. This magazine is not only a place for BBIMP. It's not a place for BBIMP only to purchase. It's a magazine for everybody to enjoy. But it is a place where we want to showcase the work of all the BBIMP that we have in our community, their stories, because we have articles in there, recipes, because our food is a big part of a lot of our cultures as BBIMP. So we have a lot of recipes we have 5 recipes in each of the issues that's been printed. We have articles, we have gardening, because we are multifaceted people. We love all these things. If you know me at my house, I have my own garden. So, and that's a place I spend a lot of time and money in. So we wanted to create that space, and this is what Radical Threads magazine is. Our website has some free patterns for us, for everybody. We do pay all the designers whose pattern are featured on our website, but we wanted to make them free for the people to be able to access them if they cannot get a copy of the magazine. Right now, we're working on releasing our 4th issue. Pre-orders are open on the website. It's Air. It's the first one of the 4 elements that we have coming up. So Air is the one that's coming up next month. And it has some really, really, really gorgeous patterns in it, guys. So I hope you guys can head over to our website and purchase it there. If you want to support Radical Threads, go visit the website. There's a lot of information there for you, for ways you can support us. There is, you can become a sponsor. If you can sponsor other people to have their advertised with Radical Threads magazine, it's something that we have there for the community. Everything we do is so that we can build a stronger community. We can make sure that BBIMP are seen, BBIMP are heard, and everything that is shared from BBIMP is said in their own voice and not being edited.
Right. And I should say, if you are a BBIMP designer or dyer, you should, one of the ways you can help is to reach out and try to get your patterns in the magazine or in your yarn to increase exposure. And also, if you have a local yarn store that carries magazines and books, reach out to them to see if they will be a stockist for the magazine, right? Because you can order it directly, which is how I do it. But I know some folks want to go into their yarn store and flip through it first. But I would recommend, and thank you, Brooke, for putting the link to the Radical Threads account up there, because you guys have been teasing some of the patterns for this upcoming thing in these little fast slideshow, and they do look amazing. So I've really enjoyed. I've gotten all three of the earlier episodes, or
Issues.
episodes. My goodness, issues, and I really enjoyed it because, like you said, you showcase obviously a design on the cover, but it's much more than just a knitting and crocheting magazine. It's more like sort of a lifestyle magazine that has the recipes and just stories and articles and features and things. It's a really well done. So congratulations on all the success you've had so far, and I really hope that with issue 4, it really helps to
Thank
push it to the
you.
next
And
level. So
if anybody
um,
hasn't had the
you're
chance to get issue 1 to 3 so far, we do have the digital copies available on our website as well for you to access.
right, right. And do they come with um, codes for Ravelry for the patterns? Can you get for some reason, or am
We
I confusing
do
you guys?
not share the
Um,
patterns on Ravelry.
okay,
The only patterns you'll find on Ravelry are the patterns that are available on our website, as they're free and they're released back to the
okay,
website. We do not share the patterns because once the magazine is released, after 6 months, the rights reverse back to the designer, and we do not want to infringe on that
okay,
by publishing it also on Ravelry.
okay, perfect. And Brooke, anything coming up from? I mean, obviously, you're going to have your hands full dyeing up Majestic and Plant Parent for the KAL, but anything else on the horizon for you in terms of fully spun?
Yes,
Or
I have another collaboration coming up with Lauren at Mother of Pearl. They designed a vest with still the wool cotton base, but fingering weight, and they used Loyal Pup, which is like a charcoal, comes out as a charcoal gray on the wool cotton base. So lots for spring, but that is really all I've got going on at the moment.
okay, excellent. We'll keep our eyes open for that. But as I said, when you're going to get your Majestic or Plant Parent yarn for the cardigan, check out the other things that Brooke has available on her website, because her marled yarn is really special. So, so just to recap for everyone, the Crochet-along is going to run from June 1st to July 30th, or whatever the last day of July is. I think it's the 30th. The pattern is In the Forest of Night cardigan. Here is a sample of it, or the pattern of it, knit up or crocheted up in the Majestic colorway from fully spun yarn. Yes, there we have it in the full finished product. This wearing, and then in the Plant Parent colorway that Brooke is holding. DK weight, sized from a small, which is a 32-34 bust, up to 2X, which is 48 to 50.
I wanted to add, I'm working
yes,
with my tech editor so that we can have more sizes available for the cardigan before the KAL
nice.
starts.
Oh, excellent. Oh, perfect. Okay. So then, just if you need a bigger size, then I would say probably either do some math and figure out the yardages, or hold off on getting your yarn until that the increased sizes have come on. Right now, the yardages run from 760 to 1600, so that's 4 to 7 skeins of Brooks yarn. Your mileage may vary with another DK yarn, but for hers at 230 yards per 100 grams, it was 4 to 7, and that would get you, when you see the pattern, you'll see it's all very well laid out in terms of, like, if you want a size small with short sleeves, this is how many yards you need, and so it's all very clear. In not even it's all in the Ravelry listing, so you can figure out your yardages ahead of time. So that is the pattern, In the Forest of the Night cardigan, available now. The yarn, this is the Majestic. Brooke had the Plant Parent, which is that terracotta 50/50 merino cotton. It is going to be $31 a skein, and then included, or not included in that, but in addition to that, when you place your order, there will be a $10 donation to AIDS Life Cycle included in the order. And then the only other thing you need is the ticket to participate, which I will have up on my Ko-fi page later today for $3. So I'm hoping I am very, very excited that we have a garment. The crochet along continues to get bigger each time we do it. And I'm hoping this is going to be the biggest one yet. We get a lot of folks working on this. Hey, Claudia, working on this project, because it really is a beautiful finished garment and a really, really fun project to work on. So I think that's it. I thank you both for. Let me know. Is there anything else that I've missed?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you guys sitting down with me, especially since we're working on very long time distance time changes. That we found a time that it worked for me, and hopefully the lighting was okay. That my pre-coffee face isn't too puffy after having been out all day yesterday riding my bike. But I appreciate you all taking the time to sit down and talk about this. I'm really, really excited. Anyone has any questions, and I'm going to save this so folks will have a chance, if they weren't up at 7 a.m. on the West Coast, will have a chance to watch later. I will also be attaching it as part of the latest episode of my YouTube channel, which will go out hopefully tomorrow. So that's GaryKnitsAndRides over on YouTube. So hopefully folks will have a chance to watch this and get all the details. But thank you both so much for doing this. And I look forward to chatting with you during the process to
Thank you for having
see everyone's progress.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Take care. Have a great day.